All right, let me see if it'll do it. I didn't hear it. You might want to try.
I'm
Oh,
seeing
no,
that it
it's
is,
recording.
I'm seeing that it's recording in the top, so I think we're set. Um, well, next slide. My name is Malia Becker. I am an organizer with the Center for Biological Diversity, and I coordinate the Simplify the Holidays campaign. It's actually a program that Kelly started, so really excited to have her on and to be able to continue that work and carry it out. I currently live in Minneapolis, Minnesota, on the lands of the Dakota people. And for those who aren't able to see me today, I'm a young white woman with brown hair and glasses standing in my home office. Next slide. And I'll let our panelists give quick intros as well.
Hi, I can start. Can you hear me okay? Okay. I'm Jen Nepper, and I'm coming from Lancaster, Pennsylvania today, and I'm the fair coordinator for Gifts That Give Hope. And we've had a long history of being inspired by the work of simplifying the holidays back when we got started in 2008.
I can go real quick. My name is Dan Heaston, he, him. I work for Lane County Waste Management in Central Oregon in Eugene, about 2 hours south of Portland. And I primarily do the marketing and communications for the county. And for those who want to know what I look like, they can't see me. I am a white male and I'm very bald.
And I'm Jackie Crenshaw. I'm current board chair of a small environmental nonprofit called Sustain Floyd in a very small community in the Appalachian Mountains. I'm happy to be here. Another white face. I'm an older white woman.
Thank you all. Kelly, next slide. So a quick introduction for those unfamiliar to the Center for Biological Diversity. We're a national conservation nonprofit that works through a combination of science, the law, creative media, and outreach to protect wildlife and wildlife habitat. And the program I work for specifically is working on addressing underlying causes of the wildlife extinction crisis. And we're thinking about those in terms of excessive production and consumption, and the impact that that endless consumption and endless production has on habitat, has on wildlife. And two of our big goals in that arena are to think about the ways that the current US economic model is extractive and is demanding endless growth. And then through our campaigns, through our work to promote community resilience and uplift alternative economic solutions. Next slide. So why simplify the holidays? I think if you're attending this webinar, you might have a sense of that already. We think of the holidays and particularly big holidays, winter holidays, as these peak consumer events. So moments in time when people are being very heavily marketed to, seeing a lot of ads, and people are doing a lot of shopping and thinking about shopping quite a bit. And the Center for Biological Diversity did a nationally representative survey in 2023 that we put out to understand perceptions of winter holiday consumerism, gift giving, and waste. And we found that Americans generate 23% more holiday waste during the month of December than in any other month of the year. And we also found that people wish the holidays were less materialistic and think that the holidays should be more about friends and family. and less about the giving and receiving of gifts. So those are a couple pieces of what we focus on in the campaign, as well as all of the benefits that we can get from simplifying our holidays, like saving money, reducing waste, lowering stress, and protecting wildlife habitat. Next slide. So this is our website for those unfamiliar, and we have quite a few resources available on there. I think Kelly's going to drop some links in the chat. There are sustainable gift guides. We have some tips on how to start conversations about changing your holiday traditions. There's also a free wish list and registry site that we run called So Kind. And it really focuses on alternative gift giving and letting registrants request all kinds of gifts. So secondhand gifts, gifts of time, gifts of skill, not just your regular gift that comes in a box, the traditional thing that people think of. And every fall, winter, we put out a series of resources, kind of a list of tips and resources for the upcoming holiday season. And I think Kelly just dropped that in the chat, but I want to kind of draw your attention to two parts of that. One is our Secondhand Sunday campaign. So we're really promoting secondhand gift giving for the winter holidays this year. And that's the Sunday after Thanksgiving. So kind of thinking about Black Friday and thinking about how can we promote gift giving in a sustainable way and normalize giving secondhand gifts. And the other thing I wanted to mention is if you're interested in this content and a year-round angle, this is not just a campaign during the winter time. We run campaigns year-round, thinking about Valentine's Day, thinking about Easter, as well as celebrations that aren't holidays. So birthdays, weddings, graduations, any kind of gathering or event. And we just kicked off a new Instagram channel at Simplify the Holidays. So if you're interested in following along with our year-round content, please go ahead and give us a follow. And with that, I'll turn it over to Daniel.
Thank you very much. And thank you to the Center for Biological Diversity for the opportunity to speak and for all the great materials. I'm kind of a very small shop, and so I around the holidays, I really depend on the materials you have to get the message out about these things. So thanks for the opportunity to speak, and thanks for all you do. And yeah, thanks for everyone for joining today. So again, I work with Lane County Waste Management in Oregon, and I always think it's kind of helpful when you're talking about a place that maybe you haven't been to, just to kind of get a picture of it. So our county, it stretches from the Cascade Mountains in the east all the way to the Pacific Ocean in the west, and it's about the size of Connecticut, so it's pretty big. And there's about 380,000 people that live here. So the 7-person team that I work with at Lane County Waste Management, we're called WasteWise Lane County. And really, in our team, and I'm just going to briefly go over this just to kind of give you more of a scale of what I do. We focus on more than just recycling and waste management. We really try to help residents and businesses go a little further upstream with waste prevention and sustainability efforts, through things like, enabling them to repair items they own through, we call them fix-it fairs. We have a program where we help large events utilize reusable dishware, help people find resources for buying used items, helping people to get out of their cars and be more active transportation, kind of get, just do something a little different there. And then we also talk about things like climate crisis activism and lots of topics in between. So we do a lot of stuff, a broad range of topics. And one of our biggest points of emphasis, though, is really food waste prevention for obvious reasons, environmental, but a lot of other things. And this is really how we got involved in this contest I'm going to tell you about as part of the Simplify the Holidays campaign. And so why Food waste, well, the statistics really speak for themselves when it comes to food waste. And these are kind of mind-boggling to me. It's very sobering. They say about 40% of all food that's produced in the US is actually tossed, which is just crazy to me. And that food is real money. In fact, in the state of Oregon, they'd say the average family of four throws away about $3,000 worth of food every year. So I can definitely think of things that I'd rather spend my money on than throwing away food. So it really is it's a pocketbook issue, especially with things like inflation and whatnot happening. Really, first and foremost, it is a pocketbook issue. And more broadly, we also try to talk about, besides monetary costs, we really try to help people see the value in food. So how it's produced, how it's managed, both during its life, but also end of its life, through things like composting and things like that, all the way from farm to table. And as you know, and this is really what this presentation is about, it's food waste is particularly egregious during the holidays. You think about your own habits during the holidays. You go to parties with friends and family members and all kinds of other gatherings. So that's really how this contest came to be. So if you could go to the next slide. All right, so that brings us to real quickly today. I'll just give you a brief overview of what this is. We just pretty basic title, the leftover holiday recipe contest. And what it is, the contest really asks a simple question, which is how do you use all of those holiday season leftovers that you might be producing in a way that allows you to avoid throwing them away? So the contest, we started this in 2023, allows Lane County residents to submit holiday leftover recipes online from the end of November through the new year. And the contest goal is to divert as much food waste as possible from the trash or the compost and into literally people's stomachs. Contest details, including the recipe submission form, they're housed on our campaign website, which if you, hopefully it's linked in the chat. There should also be a link to the online submission form, so you can kind of take a look and see how we do things. And the submission form really asks various questions that, with the goal of connecting people more to their food. So just, like for instance, one of the questions is, what was your inspiration for the dish? Now, some people, they might get dishes, they might go to Pinterest or find it on a blog. So there's not, maybe it's not a deep connection, but I've seen lots of recipes that are from, it was my uncle's favorite recipe or my grandma's. So kind of some cool provenance there. And then we also we ask questions, how much, just the best estimate for how much money you think you might have saved by not wasting those leftovers. And then we also, of course, love photos because everyone loves photos. They tell a pretty great story, especially food photos. They also make me very hungry. So over the last couple of years, we've had about 50 submissions in the last couple of years. So, still have a lot of room for growth and hopefully optimistic me wants to double that this year. So, and hopefully it'll just keep growing and growing. And now you're probably wondering real quickly, I'll just, before we get to the next slide, you're wondering about recipes. I mean, all kinds of stuff is submitted. So everything from basic stuff like turkey soup, but then you got, stuffing muffins. I wrote down a few: stuffing muffins, stuffing waffles, leftovers pizza, cranberry oat breakfast bars. And then this one is really one that I'm going to try. I actually saw it and doing the preparation for this presentation: Korean spatzel soup. That sounds really good, really interesting. So again, one county residents can do it. I believe it's 18 and over. I forgot to look at the actual rules. I think it is 18 and over that we limit it to. Each submission gives entrants a chance to win great prizes. And that's the other part of this contest is working with local organizations, like businesses and organizations, to provide really cool gift prizes for folks. So there's a local store that provides sustainable gift products. There's a Oregon State University provides a gift certificate to a food preservation workshop that they put on. Really popular restaurant in town actually is very generous and provides a $100 gift card. And then a local used construction material store gives us a $25 gift card. If you can go to the next slide. Okay, and then real quickly, we're wrapping up here. Contest promotion, I figured there could be some questions about that. Definitely not rocket science. I mean, most of what we do is social media, and we integrate it again with the Simplify the Holidays messaging. which is really helpful. Again, that's sort of it really is plug and play, which is really nice. So that's the focal point, and then updates on the contest and things like that. That's integrated into it, so it works really well. We send out a press release. In the last couple of years, we've actually gotten some pretty good earned media from radio stations and newspapers, and I think some even TV. We run a radio spot. I mean, we are lucky because I do work for the county, so especially if you're working for a place that doesn't have as much money, radio spot is a nice benefit to working for the county because we do maybe have a little bit bigger budget, but it does work quite effectively. And then the other big thing, though, and this is really, I think, really valuable for everyone, and this is something I need to work a lot more on, is leaning into the relationships that I've developed and that Lake County has developed with our nonprofits and our businesses, the folks that I'm trying to amplify their messages, local government partners, really trying to work with those partners to help us amplify the message of this contest. All right, next slide, and this will be the last slide, so hopefully you're all with me still. This year, so the kind of the evolution of the campaign, two big things. Number one, we have all these, we got like 50 recipes. I'm going to try and put those in a PDF to post on our website. And again, just kind of hopefully inspire folks to see like, oh, you can do some really cool stuff with food. And then the other big thing that we're going to do, aside from the recipe book, is do a little bit more purposeful, just sort of direct outreach to schools. So really trying to activate younger folks to get into this. And if you're all interested, and this kind of goes, and if I saw some school districts represented and things like that, we have our website, wastewiselane.org, which is where our homepage is located for this campaign. It actually houses free sustainability and waste prevention curriculum for teachers. That includes food waste prevention lessons and activities. And so, if you are in those spaces, you're free. Go for it. I mean, we'd love to, get the word out about that. It's really designed more for Lane County because a lot of it is localized, but there certainly are stuff on there that, please, if you can use it in your classrooms, go for it. But as part of this campaign, we have some great food waste prevention curriculum that we're going to hopefully encourage our teachers to use during the campaign, and then figure out a way that classes can maybe submit a video about what they learned and things like that. So we're still kind of working out the details, but then they would submit, and then they would be eligible for a grant from Lane County to help with food waste prevention efforts. So wrapping up here, overall, we really just hope our campaign gives folks a chance to see that waste prevention and sustainability can be both creative and delicious and also great for the pocketbook. So thank you.
Thank you, Daniel. That was wonderful. Over to you, Jen.
All right. Good afternoon. I was about to say good morning. Can everybody hear me okay? I always like to double check. So we had a lot of inspiration from the Center for a New American Dream, as it was called back in 2008. I happened to stumble upon their work with simplifying the holidays. And I'll tell you the story. What happened with me is I'm a nurse and I work, in Hershey Medical Center, which is about 45 minutes from Lancaster. And I read about a group of women who were, they had a women's giving circle, and they were putting together an alternative gift fair. And I happened to read about it in the newspaper one night, and it said, "Your grandmother doesn't need another sweater." And I was just riveted because over the years, I had become more and more disgruntled with the materialism that plagues the holiday season, as Malia was saying. And so I just felt like that was a reprieve for those of us who don't like all the consumption of the holidays. So I reached out to the women who had the giving circle, and I suggested bringing that idea of hosting an alternative gift fair to Lancaster. So we hosted our first gift fair in 2008. And so now we're in our 18th year. We've been continuously running for those consecutive years, except COVID for 2020, we had it online. And what happened is the original Giving Circle morphed to become its own 501c3, a nonprofit organization called Gifts That Give Hope, which is the umbrella organization, and really was set up to provide the tools for anyone across the United States really to host their own gift fair by sharing assets like cards and marketing material and things of that nature. And so there was a fair for many years in Arlington. One of the founding members had moved down there. There was a fair in Texas. There was actually a fair for a couple of years in California. There was a woman who came here to Lancaster to visit her her daughter who lived here in Lancaster and came to the fair and just loved the idea. And then she got her Rotary to start a fair in California. And a lot of those efforts got pushed down with COVID, you know, as we all have experienced. But I'm proud to say that Lancaster is a very giving community, and we keep pushing forward, and we keep doing things to keep people engaged. And like Malia said, to her point about the Secondhand Sunday, we were really excited to realize that that was just a designation made a couple years ago. So we have Black Friday, which, you know, most of us probably hate that day. And then there's Small Business Saturday, and then Secondhand Sunday, which really dovetails well for the gift fair. I shared some pictures there with you to kind of show some pictures taken from last year's fair that we do have actual items for sale. You know, we do put a lot of emphasis on charitable giving, like to nonprofit organizations. We have about 35 nonprofits that are there at the fair. But we recognize that people are going to make or, you know, are looking for consumption items. But as Malia said, we really emphasize the secondhand aspect of it. We have a lot of vendors with us that have upcycled products, materials that would otherwise be thrown away. In the slideshow there, you can kind of see in the middle, my friend Molly, she has something she calls vegan taxidermy. So everything she makes is all things that would have been thrown away. And so in the picture there I showed you, we have the gift fair. It's at a community center. We have food trucks. We have the section where you can meet with nonprofit organizations and make charitable contributions. And then you can also purchase actual items. You see up there, there's some earrings that are made by survivors of human trafficking. So everything that we have there really under one roof, that's kind of our mantra, is that everything, it's like a one-stop shop for gifts that make a difference. And the one picture I shared there with you, we have something that we incorporated into the fair called the Human Rights Day scavenger hunt, because oftentimes our fair will fall in December. This year it's November 30th, which is Secondhand Sunday. But in past years, it's fallen on December 10th, which is Human Rights Day. So we started incorporating a scavenger hunt. You can kind of see the picture there underneath the earrings. What we do is we have a scavenger hunt that lines up the declarations or the various articles of the Declaration of Human Rights, and then pair it with the nonprofits who are working in that area, whether it's welcoming refugees, providing clean water, maternal health care, ending poverty, food insecurity, those kind of things. And then when you get it stamped, you can come and get a free book of your choice, all different books pertaining to all different topics. So, and then at the top corner, I just like to point out, we have a local nonprofit called Music for Everyone, and they have a group of ukulele players that always come to the fair, and they have a community chorus as well. So they come, and it's just a really festive day. And people just love, I think it feels like a family reunion kind of, or a class reunion. There's a lot of people, all my volunteers that come, they've been with us for 18 years, a lot of them. And they're like, oh, I always see you at this event. We can go to the next slide. So just giving you some pictures there of some of the organizations that are with us. Some of them we have a mix, usually about 60% local organizations and 40% either national or international. A lot of the international ones have a local presence here in Lancaster. You'll notice the second picture in from the left is I have to always give a shout out to them because it's Nurse Family Partnership. And as a nurse, I don't work with women's health, but I'm always proud of the work that they do because they were recognized. Nurse Family Partnership was recognized by Nicholas Kristof a number of years ago in a great article he wrote in the New York Times about the tremendous impact they make in preventing long-term poverty. So there's an organization called the period project there, but we can go to the next slide. I wanted to show you the materials that we use, just so you can kind of get an idea. If you see there in the corner, we give everybody a shopping list when they come into the fair. I know it's very small, but it shows each nonprofit's name, and then they each have 2 specific gifts that they've designated to support their work, and then a third item, which is just an overarching charitable contribution. So if you just say, I want to give $100 to Music for Everyone, you can do that. So everybody walks around, talks to nonprofits, and then they go to one central checkout area where they get those inserts that you see in the pictures. So it'll say the description of the gift, the mission statement of the nonprofit, and then also a card. So I threw in some cards there that you can see examples. We work with local artists to design cards for the event. So we can go to the next slide. This year, we rely on sponsors to keep the gift fair running. And this year we were very fortunate to be the beneficiaries of a grant for a local women's giving circle. So that really helps us. We're really trying to do a lot of strategic marketing and reaching out to people who are searching for these type of events to be more conscientious. That's really what we're trying to emphasize, is simplifying the holidays and just being a more conscientious consumer. And the idea that our money, where we spend it, is a vote for the kind of world we want to create, for people to get a living wage, and to know where our food and our clothing are coming from. So that's very important to us. I forget if I have another slide after that one. Oh no, we're going on to the next person. But so what I would always tell people is you can shop online. We just launched our new website, and it's really user-friendly, and to get a lot of inspiration from the Center for New Dream and Simplifying the Holidays, we do have a function that you can create kind of a gift wish list. And I hope to someday be able to incorporate a registry as well, because I think we all are looking for opportunities to be more conscientious with our, not just the holidays, but, graduations, retirements, and birthdays and things of that nature. So we're always trying to keep moving forward and seeing how we can kind of challenge the status quo and to not keep feeding that materialism that's so rampant. So I would encourage you to look for us. We are on Facebook and Instagram at Gifts That Give Hope Lancaster.
Thanks, Jen.
Thank you.
Over to you, Jackie.
Hi, I'm Jackie Crenshaw from Sustain Floyd. I want to thank the Center for Biological Diversity. I'm just so impressed by the breadth and the depth of what the center does in the name of supporting biological diversity and the planet's health. So thank you, and I'm honored to speak here. My organization is a rather small one, and we take rather small steps, but we do have big thoughts about sustainability within our community. We are a small, rural, very diverse, and sometimes divided community. And as a nonprofit, our choice has been to take on projects that we feel have an impact on the environment and can be welcomed by as large a range of the community as possible. Our first and biggest and ongoing project has been to start a local farmers market. And that farmers market is really the place that has allowed us to encourage reuse and recycle and other projects. When we realized that our local municipality had very restricted funding to deal with what they saw as a huge waste management issue and lack of public education on recycling, we were able to step up with our first Saturday's reuse and recycle days. And as time has gone on, we've more and more emphasized the reuse part of that. And so, next slide. When the center offered to give these online presentations during COVID, we were really delighted to step up and share a presentation by Kelly and her colleague Sarah on simplifying the holidays. And it's led the next slide. Take the next slide, and it's led to initially that first year, we immediately started our sustainable gift wrapping project, which has now in its fourth year, I guess, 2025. The idea being that a zero waste gift wrapping is possible and fun, and we could share that with the community. Next slide. And so many shoppers, particularly those who are kind of daunted by gift wrapping, have been amused and engaged by this project. Next slide. All of the materials that we use are recycled or zero waste, some natural materials. The bag that you see there is made from recycled materials which are donated by the community. We advertise in advance. People bring materials that they no longer need. We've had a lot of fun learning furoshiki, the Japanese method of gift wrapping that's just uses material. And in this case, it's using a headscarf, so it was part of the gift that was being given. It is a fun way to proceed. In the past, this has been a gift wrapping service. We're looking this year at doing a gift wrapping workshop at the market. Next slide. But part of the biggest fun for us in this project has been partnership with people in the community. We've been able to work in this case with the Scouts. We acquired a couple of sewing machines and have had people come into the office who've never touched a sewing machine and learn how to make a bag. So, it increases the ability of people to use recycled materials in that sense. So just this very small project, I think, has kind of begun to spread out a little. The next slide. Again, at our market, we were able to provide places to encourage second-hand giving. And a very simple thing that we do in December is to do a book swap and advertise that as a way to get a gently used book to a friend. The next slide. And we're so excited that our local library has taken this a step further. The Yola Bocca Flod, please excuse my pronunciation, it's probably way off, but it's an Icelandic tradition. And apparently a Christmas Eve tradition that people bring books to exchange all the gifts of books on Christmas Eve, and then have a celebration with hot chocolate and cookies. And our local library has made this a second-hand book event. So this true celebration, a low-stress holiday event with the possibility of some gifts, but certainly celebrating the holidays in a very low stress and low polluting manner. So we're very proud to have partners that we can work with on these things. Next slide. Another thing that we've done as an alternative gift is the potential to give away native trees to your friends. So in December, we've been doing a tree distribution. We buy bare root tree starts of our native trees from a reliable nursery. We provide them with mulch and stakes and a tree guard for a donation to the public. And many people have been very excited to buy that gift for themselves, but also to pass that on to friends and family. This year, we're going to add the possibility of some native pollinator seed gifts because we've been collecting seeds and we're hoping to get some good packaging that will make that look like a really juicy gift for somebody. Next slide. And again, using the market, we're able to, and our social media, obviously, able to get the word out about things that many people in our community never think about. Our market is like a community center, a large gathering on Saturday mornings, and it's a time that we can celebrate some of the alternative ways of giving, the idea of giving an experience of giving time. And we are planning this year to create a little printed gift voucher that people can kind of fill in for their gifts of time, just to, again, add a little substance to that gift of alternative type of giving. The next slide. And we've also offered some workshop on decoration making. One of our vendors at the market sells dried flowers. And so adding those dried flowers to some natural materials, people are able to quickly make these really very pretty little decorations and take them home with them. So just, again, something that is naturally very beautiful and appropriate. The next slide. Shop Small has already been mentioned. In our community, we do have a large number of craftspeople. And so we have always advertised Shop Small as something that people should think about. Shop locally, shop from our local makers, people that are making preserves and pottery and so forth. But this year we are working with our local tourism office to create a Shop Local Floyd event so that idea can be expanded with specific reference to our community and be a longer, probably throughout December event. And next slide. So whilst people still are giving physical gifts, one of the things that we've done is to distribute some of these cards around some of our local shops and stores. If you get a gift and you don't really like it, there's often this sense of kind of need to hang on to it or sneak it away somewhere because you don't want to offend the giver. This allows the giver to make really clear, this gift is for you, keep it as long as it gives you pleasure. When you're ready, feel free, pass it along to a friend. So this is to encourage regifting, which we feel, I'm sure most of us have something in the house somewhere that somebody else would enjoy more than we do. So I think this is, it's a very small thing, but I think is part of the big story that we can tell about the wastage of Christmas. And last slide, I'm so happy to have heard some of the great ideas from Jen and Daniel. I feel we are going to have to start a recipe contest in Floyd. And I love the idea of the holiday market. So thanks for sharing those. We have a big holiday to-do list, just like everybody else, and it's getting added to all the time. But it does feel that there's a real need for this work of simplifying, and I really appreciate all of those in attendance who appreciate that need and the opportunity to participate. Thank you.
Thank you, Jackie. And yeah, thank you to all our panelists. That was wonderful. We do have a couple questions, so I can get started with those. And for those in attendance, if you have more questions, you can add them to the chat. I think you can raise your hand and I might be able to unmute you, but we'll have to play that one by ear, as I haven't tested it yet. Um, I'll start with some of these questions for Daniel. I think there was one in actually the Q&A that I'll just share with everyone. So Jennifer asked, how do you choose winners for the holiday recipe contest? And do you make the recipes to confirm quality and taste? And Daniel, you had answered that you randomly choose winners, kind of like names in a hat, and that recipes can be designated as vegan, vegetarian, gluten-free, contains nuts, etc. Um, and then you said we can't really check for quality or taste otherwise, but it would be fun to do so. Did you have anything you wanted to add on that one, Daniel?
No, I mean, one of the things that we have thought about doing is maybe, and again, it's just because of capacity. I think it would be great to have like a, what are the reality shows, Top Chef type thing, which would be kind of fun. We could do like a little, go to like a holiday market and like have like a table there where you do like, something like it. But I'd have to think that through. But yeah, it would be cool. I would just like to taste a lot of these because they make me very hungry.
Yeah, that would be great. I mean, the radio shows too, I imagine would love that. Um, we also had a question whether the same people submit every year, if you have a kind of a following, and is someone allowed to submit more than once?
Yeah, good question. I should probably look and see. I imagine we probably did have a couple of duplicates. You can submit once a year. That's kind of the gist of it. And yeah, we don't. I mean, aside from that, you can submit every year if you want to. So there's not really yeah, a limitation. In fact, the more the merrier. Once we have the recipe book made, though, what I'm hoping is people will look at that and go, oh, this is already in there. I can't really submit this, and they will do something different. But we'll see.
Great. And then the last question was, have you or can you work with school like food classes, like home ec classes or cooking classes in the high schools? And have you ever engaged that audience to participate?
No, and that's really what the direction we want to go, though. Yeah, I was just talking with a colleague the other day, kind of just bouncing ideas off of her, and I think one of the things that you kind of get concerned about there is liability and food safety and that kind of stuff. So I would love to do that though. We could bring that kind of thing to like a home ec class. I think that'd be so much fun. And then because the other thing I've kind of started doing personally, and then I'll be brief. I've actually, it's a weird hobby. It's not that weird maybe, but I'll look in my fridge and I love every Sunday I make like I'm really boring when it comes to eating. I make like two big meals for the whole week and I just eat those all week. And so like by Thursday I'm like I can't eat this anymore. But on Sunday when I make stuff, I'm always looking. I just basically my challenge is to make everything I can with what's in the fridge without going to the store. And so some of it's been, definitely home runs, and some of it has been a struggle. But it's kind of fun because it's like, it is like creativity, and it's just kind of a fun thing to do. So we hope that people get that out of it too, like just have fun with it and go for it.
Sure. No, that's great. And I think it's great to be sort of prompted to do that kind of thing and prompted to be creative in the kitchen in that way. Um, I'll move on to Jen. We had a question for you about whether there's a national list of or a registry of alternative gift fairs or marketplaces like Gifts That Give Hope. Um, or should people just be searching for one-offs in their area? And also if you have any recommendations for keywords or ways that people can find one in their local community. Just noting that, yeah, it's hard to find them sometimes. And
Mhm.
yeah.
It is. It's a great question. I follow, I think it's called Inter or Alternative Gifts International. Um, and I think there's an alternative Greater Washington alternative gifts group that I follow. Um, I generally sometimes will just do like a deep dive every so often of looking for like simplify the holidays, or I love the tagline that you have, more fun, less stuff, or more of what matters. Um, but really, yeah, like alternative gift fairs, conscientious consumerism. Those are the kind of taglines that I would look for. Those are the ones that we often use when we post things. It'll say more of what matters and simplify the holidays, and or we'll say put your money where your heart is. And but yeah, I would encourage people, to take a look on our site and play around with that and see if you can, sometimes it does, you stumble upon things that you didn't realize was even there, and or might be in a town near you. But yeah, or it might be something that I feel like for me it was a calling. I happened to pick up this article at 3 o'clock in the morning when I'm not always my most on top of things, but I read this article and it just like jolted me, and has given me so much inspiration and connection over the past 18 years. So, maybe something it stirs in you to be like, hey, what do I do with this? It could just be something that you host in your church or your community group or community center kind of setting, but just kind of put feelers out there.
Thanks, Jen.
Mm-hmm.
And I also had a question for Jackie. On your last slide, you noted on your to-do list toy share or a toy swap, and I was curious, is that something you've done before, or is that to-do list like a future dream?
It, yeah, it's kind of a dream, but it's for this year. And we have done before board game swaps, which have been fun. Books, CDs, board games are simple things to pass along. Toys are a little more daunting, but we feel ready to take that on. We have an excellent thrift store in our area that obviously can provide secondhand toys. But again, it's this case of having something in front of you, and in this case, the call to youngsters to give up a toy for Christmas, I think, is an important part of what we could offer.
Well, I, for one, am very excited to hear how that goes. You'll have to give us an update after the toy swap. Um, yeah, wonderful. We also had a question for any of you, if anyone wants to chime in on this one. Someone asked if the panelists have a recommendation on how to give gifts, how to present gifts to others that aren't necessarily as receptive to secondhand gifts. And particularly thinking about kind of family is maybe less receptive. And I know in my experience, like there may be more traditions or expectations when it comes to family gift giving, whereas friends or peer-to-peer gifts, sometimes there's a little bit more space to be creative and open.
Mm-hmm.
But whoever wants to jump in.
I would say what we try to emphasize a lot is pairing a charitable contribution with a tangible gift. And, because in our marketplace, we have a lot of fair trade, social enterprise type things. So we have chocolate and coffee. And, for example, like a lot of times for my kids, music instructors, I will give them like a charitable contribution made towards music for everyone. And then I'll give them a bag of coffee. And so, and because what we really emphasize too is it's really like if you really think about the people that you're purchasing for, rather than saying like, oh, I got my uncle a gift card to get gas, which of course we need those things. But if you really, take the time to say like, oh, this person is a retired teacher, what gift would be meaningful to them to promote literacy, or which gift helps people work out and get access to sports equipment that they wouldn't otherwise have access to. So it is kind of changing that mindset. But I think like for us, we give a card that goes along with the insert, and we encourage people to say like, I thought of this because of you and your love of sports or literacy or, fighting for equality. So we try to emphasize that idea of like really personalizing it.
Yeah, and I'm going to tag on to what Jackie was saying. I'm a huge fan of experiences. Like this, my wife loves massages. Going to a nice restaurant. So, sporting event, whatever it may be, just something that's not stuff. Um, and then so that's kind of my go-to. The other thing I was going to mention, and this is as a parent, is I have an 8-year-old, and so I have these visions of being like the perfect parent that like zero waste. I'm going to teach my kid to, we're just going to do everything. No, that doesn't happen. They see kid stuff at schools, and so I also think a big thing to think about when you're doing this is moderation. Like, be okay, be forgiving to yourself, and like realize you're not going to, I don't know why I'm using so many baseball analogies today, but I am. Pitch a perfect game. You're not going to do that. And so for my daughter, for instance, like we really do try to like get her focused more on experiences, like taking her to an amusement park or something like that she really wants to do. And then if she really, because usually she'll find like something like one thing she really wants that's usually going to be new. We do that. It's not like we're going to just completely never get something new. I think that's more realistic too. But we do try to steer her towards like we'll take her to like local thrift stores and things like that and take her on a shopping spree, that kind of stuff.
Yeah, and I would just like to step in as a previous business owner giving parties for employees at the end of the year. We discovered fairly quickly that that party, when gift exchanging was happening, we could turn that into the fun event of you bring one gift for one person, but it could really become something entertaining, almost joke gifts. And so people actually looked forward to, I'm gonna get something that so and so won't be able to resist, or because we would bid for them. That's right, we would bid for the gifts. So it was like it was a fun event. One gift for each person there was buying one gift, but making it into an event that in itself was actually the gift.
Yeah, I think those are all great suggestions. And the one other thing I'll mention on the secondhand gifts in particular, I think there are some kinds of secondhand gifts that we already find valuable, and I think that many people already see as really valuable. I'm thinking about, a hand-me-down gift or like a hand-me-down piece of jewelry from a grandmother or something that has already been really treasured by someone that you know and love. I think a lot of times those gifts actually carry extra value and extra weight because of their history. And so whether it's having conversations about that with the people in your life, or being creative and thinking about where those gift opportunities lie. There's so many ways to do it. And yeah, Kelly, if you could pull back up the resources, I can close us out. Just want to say a big, big thank you to all of our panelists. It was wonderful to have all three of you on, and just really admire and appreciate the work that each of you does in your own community, and grateful for you taking the time out of your busy, busy days to share with all of us and kind of spread these ideas and your creativity. And also wanted to offer that I am certainly available if anyone had further questions or wanted to work with us and think about further Simplify the Holiday campaign ideas in your community. And I believe all of our panelists are also available for further questions or collaboration if you have anything there. So please feel free to reach out to us. Have a wonderful rest of your day. And as you're leaving, there will be a short evaluation that pops up. So if you're willing to take the extra minute, that would be much appreciated. But thank you all for joining, and enjoy the holiday season.